So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 5 tips that can hopefully help you believe in yourself and believe in your lofty art goals. A lot of this advice is stuff that I've gleaned over the past 2 years working with Webtoon, starting to collaborate with teams in order to make my own webtoons, and also pursuing my own goals and passions. So every single artist has their own goals and dreams, and so what makes the difference between those who end up succeeding and reaching their dreams and those who don't? Well, a big thing that informs how they make choices and what they do with their dreams and aspirations has to do with how much they believe in themselves, and that kind of belief informs their day-to-day actions and their day-to-day attitude about their certain dream of success. There's always going to be times when you feel like you are never going to reach your goals and you're never going to reach your dreams, but it is important to really understand and be wise about, the big picture. And so I think these tips have really helped me a lot in just kind of making sure that my head is in the right place. This video isn't just about achieving your art dreams, but actually about achieving and believing in yourself. So this is my first tip, which is really looking into and diving deep into what is that narrative that you tell yourself every single day? What is your relationship like with yourself? The easiest way to understand what your relationship is like with yourself is by really examining the thoughts that go on in your head in a day-to-day basis. So if you really want to be serious about it, you can even write it down, or just, take one day to just notice all the thoughts that are going on in your head. Thoughts, they are constantly coming and going, but then you'll maybe start to notice a couple of lines or a couple of things that you would say constantly. I'm never going to reach my dreams, or something like, why can't I always get this right? There's some certain lines that you tell yourself day to day that has become a habit that becomes like a knee-jerk reaction to every single time you do something that's disappointing to yourself. And so this type of narrative that you tell yourself is your relationship with yourself. So this is the first step, realizing what parts of yourself are fragmented, what parts of yourself are conflicted. Because if you think of yourself as like your own CEO, and all of these voices in your head are like the different departments within your company, then you can really easily start to identify that there are some departments or some voices in your head that are conflicting against each other, making it really, really difficult for your company or for yourself to move forward with your dreams, because everyone is holding you back, when in reality everyone should be on the same team, right? So even just understanding that there's conflict there in your mind somewhere can help a lot with understanding, now how do I resolve this conflict? This is something that I try to remind myself pretty often, which is that any type of thought that comes into my head, whether good or bad or something that makes me feel really terrible, like whenever I tell myself, oh my gosh, you're a failure, like that sucks, like that hurts, but I know that every single thought that comes into my head is ultimately trying to serve me some kind of benefit. And I know it's really, really hard to believe, but if you really think back to it, like for example, when I tell myself, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, like you can't do this because you'll always fail at it, what is that narrative trying to protect me from or trying to save me from? And now I've realized a couple of things. One is because I really value obviously achieving my goals, and I really value progress and improvement. And then there's another part that is scared. I'm scared of disappointment. I'm scared of failure. I'm scared of shame, and I'm scared of, just all of these terrible feelings. And so that voice in my head is trying to remind me of my values, which is I want to achieve, but then it's also reminding me of my fears, which is I'm scared, what if things don't go out the way they should? All of these feelings are really, really valid, right? And so just being able to parse out that one really harsh dialogue, oh my gosh, I'm a failure, into something that is more, productive, which is I understand that I'm scared of what will happen, and I understand that I really value this activity, can really help to blend things together. And then you can tell yourself, hey, okay, so it turns out this voice that seems really harsh and is really harsh is actually on the same team as me. And then that way I can tell the voice and be like, hey, I understand you're really scared and nervous, and you're really scared of disappointment, and you're not very motivated, but how about I take over the wheel and then we see what happens after that? Being able to just understand where your thoughts are coming from really, really helps, so that they don't consume you or control your actions, because ultimately you are still the CEO, right? And all of these extra tiny little thoughts are basically like the little departments. So you don't want that thought controlling you. You are still in control of your thoughts and your own actions. Now that you've figured it out and you're like, oh my gosh, I have all of these terrible narratives about myself that has been running in my head all the time. How do I improve my relationship with myself? Well, my next tip is actually just kind of productive and practical ways to kind of boost your own confidence and self-esteem. I think the biggest thing that has helped me is just setting myself up for really, really, really small wins. It can be really, really simple, right? Like if it's something like, I want to get better at drawing, I want to be like a really good comic artist. It can be something really simple, like I just want to pick up a pen and paper just at least once a day. Like I just want to like scribble on paper. As long as I do that each day, then I would feel very accomplished. And so that doesn't even need to be like, I need to draw a perfect drawing every single day. You're just scribbling on paper, right? But because the barrier of entry is so low, the fact that you've done it every single day gives you a feeling of accomplishment. So you can tell those voices in your head, hey, look, I'm doing things. Like I'm doing things that I've set myself to do. And so this can be in any aspect of your life, right? Like if you're trying to go to the gym more often, you got to set yourself up for the little wins. So it can even be something as simple as you wake up and then you dress into your workout clothes. And then just end it there. Like you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to, go and do like a really intense workout. The fact that you've put on your gym clothes is already a big difference from what your habits were, prior to that. So you can pat yourself on the back and be like, hey, like I told myself that I was just gonna put on my gym clothes every single day. And then that's what I did. So I accomplished something that I put my mind to. So that really, really helps just to boost your confidence. And then once you have a better sense of accomplishment and you feel like you can take on higher and higher and more difficult wins for yourself, you can be able to set the goals higher and higher, and you won't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna reach this, but rather you've already felt that feeling of confidence and accomplishment. So you're gonna be like, yeah, I can do this too. I already did X, Y, and Z. So my third tip has to do with analyzing your own emotions. A lot of the reasons why you are not actively trying to reach your goals or you're keeping yourself from reaching your art goals is because there's a lot of emotions coming up that you don't want to confront, because obviously art is a form of expression. Expression is a really scary thing, and not only that, ambition is also a very scary thing. Like, there is the fear of failure, and so there are a lot of fears that come with wanting to reach your art goals. It is vulnerable, it is scary, it is different, it is uncomfortable. There are so many feelings that happen and continue to happen as you pursue this goal, as you go on this journey, right? And so being able to understand the emotions and be okay with the emotions that come up is really, really important. And I think people who go through trauma, especially those that have PTSD, from their childhood, there wasn't a parental figure to kind of guide them and help them regulate their emotions. So a lot of the times, people who struggle with anxiety, depression, struggle a lot with emotional regulation. They don't really know how to soothe their inner child, and they don't really know what to do when they're feeling all of these impossible emotions, because in their past, in their childhood, there wasn't an adult figure to really walk them through it and make them feel like it was less scary. Whenever these feelings happened, these feelings overwhelmed them. It felt like the end of the world, and they were the only ones that were able to take care of it. There was nobody else to take care of them. And so because of that, these feelings continue to stay very, very scary up until, when they get older and become an adult, just because it was always something that they had to carry by themselves, and it was always something that they wanted to push under the rug because it was so terrifying. Definitely understand what are the biggest emotions that come up. Fear is a big one. Failure is also a big one. And so whenever you do have moments where you don't do that thing you wanted to do, or you do have that setback, really sit with yourself and understand the emotion that comes through and just let it come through. I encourage you to just continue to sit through that feeling as you would like a caregiver would, and just be like, I know it's hard, you'll get through it, this feeling will pass, just keep going, like it's okay. And just continuously tell yourself, it's okay, it's hard right now, I know this feeling sucks, but it's okay, you'll get through it. And this is just honestly all that these emotions need. They just need somebody to accept them. And so once you can really accept them, once you can really sit in those emotions, it doesn't take control over you. It doesn't paralyze you anymore. And so you're freed from the control of these emotions, and you're able to, you know, build resilience. Once you feel like, okay, I feel like the anger has subsided, I feel like the shame has subsided, you can easily bounce back and be like, okay, I'll try again next day. Like, everything's totally okay. So my fourth tip has to do with worry and just thinking about the future. There is good type of like thinking about the future, right? Which is like daydreaming, like it'd be really nice if this happened. And there's also a part of you that starts thinking about the scary things. And this is where your fear comes in, and your fear is like, what if, you know, I fail? Like, what if I lose everything in the process? Like, what if people don't like what I make and I get rejected by society? There's so many big what ifs when it comes to reaching your art dreams, right? There's so many big fears. And again, it's understandable because it is so different and there's just so many things to consider. This is something I learned from a podcast called Mindset Mentor, which really helps me and really helped to shift my paradigm, which is you draw energy from the future that you create in your mind. So I'm gonna say that again. You draw energy from the future that you create in your mind. The future is not real. The future doesn't exist, and the future will never exist, because the only things that do exist is everything in the present. Your five senses, where you are, your current present moment, because the future will always be in the future. If you are creating a future in your mind that is scary, that is disappointing, that is, you know, the worst case scenario, you are drawing energy from this future that doesn't even exist and placing it into your present moment. So now this future that didn't exist has actually come into existence in the present moment, because you are feeling those feelings that you would feel if that actually happened. And so this is really important, because if you're carrying all of those feelings of you know, if all of the things that went wrong into the present moment, then imagine how much that will hold you back, and imagine how that would affect your day-to-day actions. You would always be doing things not out of confidence, not out of inspiration, but rather out of fear, because you are operating with the belief that these failures and these, you know, disappointments and these things that you are worried about in the future have already happened, when in reality it hasn't. You don't even know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, right? You don't want to feed your mind with these unreal futuristic scenarios and bring this futuristic energy that doesn't exist into the present moment, because that will affect your future. I really encourage you to start practicing what it feels like to envision a future that gives you energy. So a type of future that gives you energy is one where you, of course, you reach your dreams and aspirations. So how would it feel like if you ended up publishing that comic book? How would it feel like if you ended up getting so much recognition for your webtoon? How would it feel like if you became a really good artist? Take that feeling and just really internalize it, like how you would internalize fears from the future, and just bask in that feeling, because the more that feeling can give you energy and inspiration to continue forward, the better. So my fifth and final tip is just do it anyways. So I've talked a lot about your habits and how you hold yourself back, and how you have to change your narrative, and how you have to change your relationship with yourself, and how you have to do all of these things. But all of these things is a continuous journey, and it's not like people who have reached their goals or have reached their dreams or in the process of reaching their dreams have completely eliminated all of these problems. Like me, of course, and like every single person out there, you know, I struggle with self-doubt sometimes, and I struggle with, you know, feeling like a failure pretty often, to be honest. But it is the practice of just noticing that, and just, despite feeling that, turning things around and reminding yourself of all of the things that you've learned, and reminding yourself of the big picture, and continuing to go forward. So that's why they say bravery is not the absence of fear, but rather feeling the fear and doing it anyways. So don't think that you have to get everything perfect in your head and in your mind and body before you start. It is a practice of continuously trying to chase after your dreams, and in the process experiencing all of these things and learning from it and growing learning from it. So it is not like, you know, you have to figure out all of your limiting beliefs in order to start chasing your dreams. It is you chase your dreams, and while you're chasing your dreams, you realize more and more about your limiting beliefs and how you can handle them. Hopefully that gives you the energy and motivation to just get started now as soon as you can. It's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows, even if you do nothing or if you do the things that you want to do. I think life is always balanced, right? There's always suffering somewhere and there's always joy somewhere. It is a matter of what you choose to do and what route you choose to take. Your dreams and aspirations, yes, will have a lot of difficulties, but at least you will have a lot of joy and have a lot of moments of accomplishment and pride that come with it as well. Hopefully this video has helped to understand more about what you can do in order to improve your relationship with yourself so that you can reach your art dreams. I mean, this is all stuff that I'm also practicing and I'm still constantly reminding myself, so hopefully this has helped you as well. I will be putting out more videos like this, trying to give you advice in order to reach your art dreams and goals and career aspirations. So if you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.